Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of TEVAdrive. And this week we are driving a very exciting car indeed. This is 2022 Genesis GV60 Performance, so top of the line. And we can tell you that this is the best deal in high-performance EVs currently on the market. And that means versus Ford Mustang Mach-E GT Performance, BMW i450M, Tesla Model Y Performance, as well as Volvo C40 and Polestar 2 Performance. This car, as you can see it here, so the base car, which is basically in line with the all-wheel drive versions of the EV6 and Ioniq 5. By the way, of course, as everybody knows, this is part of the trio of the South Korean electric cars based on the EGMP platform. So we started with the Ioniq 5, followed by, which is a Hyundai, of course, followed by its cousin Kia EV6. And this is the luxury version, Genesis GV60, which is a luxury version of all those cars. It is the smallest of the trio, but it's also the fastest, the most so far. So basically this car here in its base form, starting at 71,000, has the same 320 horsepower all-wheel drive powertrain as the top-of-the-line EV6 and Ioniq 5. But this is the performance version, which is only $8,000 more, so $79,000 starting price, and it comes pretty much fully equipped. And this one has 429 horses standard and 485 horses in the boost mode, and we'll explain to you how it works in a moment. So the performance is basically about 3.7 seconds from 0 to 100. Very powerful, very fast car, faster than the current top-of-the-line EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq 5. However, when the end version of the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6 GT come out, those will be even more powerful. They will have 576 horsepower, both of them, which means they'll be even faster than this car. Okay, so let's give you a bit of a walk around. The lights are off, but you have well, maybe we can turn them on so you can see it. You have the full array of LEDs, both top and the bottom, on right now. When you're driving in DRL, and you'll see it in our video, only the outside section lights up. Same with the indicators. Those turn into the indicators. They turn orange and they flash as indicators. Okay, so beautiful LEDs. This is very typical Genesis look, together with the large Genesis logo up front. We'll show you the frunk up front as well, but it's pretty much in line with the all-wheel drive EV6 and Ioniq 5. So let's give you a look of the beautiful 21-inch wheels. They are 255 wide, 21-inch rims, which come with the performance version of the car. And then we have these pop-up handles, which pop up as you approach the car, and then as you leave the car, they will hide, they'll be hidden away. So let's continue. We'll jump inside to show you the space front and back. You have this very unique design. So each one of the three cars, both Kia and Hyundai and Genesis, have a very unique design look of the front and back. So they are very distinct looking. So it's nice to have choices. Of course, this being luxury brand also is a performance, the most performant and the fastest of the three for now. Beautiful rims front and back. As you can see, the rear of the car is it's got a wing. So this car, of course, doesn't have the wiper, but again, because of the spoiler, just like the EV6, this should keep the rear windshield clean without the need of a wiper, which is not the case with the Ioniq 5. Hence, there's a good chance that they will add the wiper later. But the EV6 and the GV60, because of the wing here, the spoiler, it should protect the upper side of the windshield, rear windshield, from getting dirty and wet in the rain. So the trunk is quite spacious, but the car is a little bit smaller than the EV6 and Ioniq 5. So we'll show you the trunk. Now you have the same concept of intelligent lift gate, which means that there's no foot swipe. if you walk away from the car and then you approach it again, it'll flash the lights. After a few seconds, it'll open the gate automatically. So it's the same principle as in the Ioniq 5 and EV6. So we're just gonna press it manually. Here is the gate. So the first remark that we have is that it's too low. Like tall people like us will be constantly hitting this, this hatch. So there should be a way to get it to lift higher. The trunk is smaller than its two brothers. You have a nice cover for the trunk, 40-60 split rear bench. There is the storage compartment which contains charging cable. By the way, it's only level 1, just like the Kia EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq 5. It's only a level 1 charging cable, so if you want level 2, you have to buy a wall box separately. Then this is just a net tire repair kit. And then we want to show you this amazing device, which also comes as an option in the EV6 and Ioniq 5, and that is the V2L. So this is your J1772, which plugs into the car. And then here you squeeze and open it. And here is your 120 volt outlet. So you can plug in during your camping, any device that you need for your camping, you can just plug it in. Theoretically, you could charge level 1, plug in a level 1 charger and charge other electric cars as well. So it's not as good as the Ford F-150's level 2 240 volt outlet, but this is still quite amazing. And a lot of people were powering their homes during the outage a few months ago when we had the big storms in Ontario. Okay, so this is a great little device that is available in all 3 of the South Korean electric cars. It comes in a very nice little cover, and we'll put it here. And lastly, there's the car manual, beautifully packaged as well. There you go, big books, there you go, huge printed manual, which is nice. A lot of people have gotten away from printed manuals. Whoa, it's a lot of space there. So let's put it back here. So the trunk, as we mentioned, is slightly smaller than Ioniq 5 and EV6, but it's still, see, I just hit the thing again. Again, it's too low. It should go a little higher. Suggestion for Genesis. I'm sure there's a way to make it lift higher. Okay, so let's close the trunk. And now I'm gonna jump inside just to show you the space up front and in the back. Okay, so as you can see here, very similar interior to EV6 and to Ioniq 5, in that you have the same screen up front that's divided into 2 sections. The wheel is slightly different. You have the boost button here on the steering wheel. We'll go through more detail when we take you for a test drive. The center console is slightly different, including the magic ball that turns on, that flips around. So we'll show you that when we're driving. There's a storage compartment here. Your phone charger right here. Wireless phone charger. So at this point we're going to mention the slight disappointment in that, yes, it does have the wireless phone charger, but it does not have wireless Android Auto or wireless Apple CarPlay. So you have to plug in your phone through a USB-C to USB-C cable right here at the bottom in order to use the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Okay, so it's not wireless, which is, being a luxury brand, we're a little bit surprised that they haven't thought about that. So the space is phenomenal. Space is really great, very comfortable seats, 18-way adjustable driver's seat, including heating, cooling, and massage, which you activate through the buttons on the side of the seat. You have the adjustable lateral support here that you can adjust through those buttons on the side of the seat as well. And yeah, so we'll go through the menus when we take you for a test drive. Let me just show you the back space in the car, which we thought would be very tight, but you'll be surprised to know that it's quite ample. So let me jump in the back and show you the back space. Okay, so here we are in the back seat. So first thing we're gonna show you, because this is the luxury version of the Trio, you have the nice little screen here for the back window. It's a manual screen. What we forgot to mention, as you noticed on the speakers, this is a Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is amazing. It comes with the performance version. So the space for the legs is great. And even at headroom, even though this is a version with a panorama sunroof, and by the way, it's a fixed glass sunroof with the blind. So of the trio, the only one that has an opening sunroof was the EV6. So both the GV60 and Ioniq 5 have a fixed glass roof with the sliding shade, which it's split in half. So this is a 40/60 split rear bench with very similar to the other two siblings with cup holders here. And so the leg space is very decent. Now keep in mind that the seat is now in the pulled back position. As soon as you get in the car, fasten your seat belts and put it in drive, the seat will move forward to the driver's ideal position. The other thing we'll mention to you here, this large storage at the bottom of this middle section, the armrest, it goes all the way through to the front. So you can store things here from the back side, from the passenger side. You can store things from the driver's side as well. Here you have also the two USB-C charge ports. The other interesting thing to see is, I don't know if you can show it maybe later on, that here you have the buttons to actually, so that the passengers can move the seat of the passenger in front. So you can move it back and forth, recline it, and then this one, I'm not sure what it is, and then it just returns the seat to its original position. Storage in both seats, so it's quite. So the only thing that because this seat is now at the very bottom, there's no space to put your feet under the seat. That's due to the positioning of the battery, which is occupying the whole space under the floor. So in order for someone to be able to slide their feet under the front seat, the driver has to lift the seat up a little bit. Otherwise, if the seat is at its bottom position, the passengers in the back cannot put their feet under the seat. So that's the case with a lot of the electric cars. All right, so that's about it. Let's jump in and take you for a test drive and show you some of the features of the main dashboard screens. Okay, so here we are. We're gonna take you for a spin shortly. We just quickly wanted to point out some of the nice features here of the car. First of all, we're gonna demonstrate the startup and the shut-off sequences of the main screens, which are quite nice. And then of course the magic crystal ball here in the middle. So even though it's super hot outside and we have AC blasting, because it's 41 degrees outside with humidity today, we're gonna turn it off for a moment to show you that sequence, and then we're gonna turn it back again. So pay attention to both the gear shifter here and to the screens here for the shut off and start up sequence. So let's turn the car off.
At least one window is open.
Oh. Okay, well, the window, we don't see any windows open, but that's okay. So as you could see here, the shifter flipped around and you have the crystal ball, which at night is very nicely lit up in all blue. It looks quite amazing. You can look at our night pictures of the interior of the car. So as we mentioned before, you have the wireless phone charger here. And then when the car is charging, you have the little light on that comes on here. We did mention before that there is no wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So if you want to use those two, you have to plug into USB-C, which is located here. And you need a USB-C at both ends of the cable, which we do have. I can't find it, so I could not use my Android Auto, as opposed to some of the other electric cars like the Mustang Mach-E last week was wireless. It worked quite well. So let's mention here that the wheel seems to be bigger than the other two cousins, EV6 and Ioniq 5, especially this section here. If you wanna, in some of the other cars, you wanna hold it kind of on the side here, but here it's so thick you can barely grasp it with your palms. Okay, it's a very comfortable wheel, but it's quite large. You have all the buttons here. You have the drive mode, just like in the other EV6 and Ioniq 5. Plus here, because it's a performance version, you have the boost version. So what this does, for about 10 seconds, the power goes temporarily from 429 all the way to 485 horsepower, giving this car a 3.7 second acceleration from 0 to 100. The other differentiation from its other two cousins is this nice separate screen and controls for the climate. So the other cars also had the buttons here for the climate, but it did not have the screen. So these buttons here control pretty much everything on that screen. So you have map, navigation, radio, media, you have hazard lights, seek and track for audio, magic button that you can program, set up as well. But this section here strictly has to do with the climate. So you can change the direction of the climate, change the temperature up and down, physical buttons, beautiful, not touch buttons on the screen. So you can also, this is a touch screen, so you can change the AC to driver only or everything. You have the heating here, you can direct the flow of the air conditioning. So again, if you want to turn everything off, which ideally for our hypermiling exercises, we would love to keep the climate off. However, today with 41 degrees, we can. So that's going to affect our, our hypermile exercise and the range and our consumption. And in fact, if you want to see the effect of the climate on the consumption of the car, it's very easy to do. You basically have to go to your home button, press the EV, and you can see here with the climate on. Right now we're at 75%. We're not full because we want to arrive at Milton with as low state of charge as possible so that we can hopefully get the fastest possible charging speed of over 200 kilowatts, which some of our other reviewer colleagues have been able to do. So hopefully we'll be able to do it today. So right now at 75%, we're showing roughly 300 kilometers, just under 300 kilometers with the climate on. With the climate off, 313. So it's basically 16 kilometers difference, or about 5% effect of on the range. So we could drive 16 kilometers farther if we didn't use the climate. So we'll have to adjust for that because most of our other hypermile exercises were with the climate off when it was slightly cooler, not as hot as today. So that's about it. So you have, this is the big differentiation is this nice climate screen and the physical buttons, but it's also a touch screen here. Other than that, those two screens are very similar to the EV6 Ioniq 5, so we're not going to go through all these menus because you can see them in our other reviews of those other two cousins. So the only other thing which I'm not sure that the other two cars had is this button here, which operates part of the screen. So this button here on the left changes the middle of your dashboard here. So you have the consumption information. Then you have just a map, and this is your autopilot display in terms of the lane keeping and all that. So you have those three different positions of the main dashboard, and this button here, when you press it down and then you swipe it, there you go. You have this right hand side of you have tire pressure, drive information, the weather forecast, or entertainment. And turn-by-turn list is provided when the route is active. So when your navigation is on, this is where you will see the turn-by-turn notifications. Now, the nice thing about all those three cars is, again, that whether you're using the car navigation or your phone navigation, the main screen shows those turn-by-turn directions, which is kind of nice. Of course, you have the head-up display over here, which also shows all the main information, speed, autopilot information, and turn-by-turn notifications. We'll try and see, we'll set the car navigation for the Milton chargers so that we can see if we have this virtual reality, navigation showing those arrows like the Ioniq 5 and like the EV6 and like the BMW i4 and iX, except the BMWs, the augmented reality was showing up on the main screen here. In the case of the three Koreans, it basically shows up on the screen there. So we'll try and demonstrate the augmented reality once we're driving on the way to the Milton chargers. Other than that, we're all set to take you for a spin. And again, we're going to repeat that this car, the GV60 Performance, priced at $79,000, is the best deal for high-performing EVs. And that includes Tesla Model Y Performance, Ford Mach-E GT Performance, BMW i4 50M, and Volvo C40, XC40, and Polestar 2 Performance. It's the least expensive and one of the fastest, if not the fastest, okay? So it's definitely a great deal. The only problem will be, like with its two other cousins, Kia and Hyundai, will be the availability and the long wait list. Some people have reported wait lists of well over a year to get those, okay? So ultimately, most of the people's decision on deciding on the electric car will probably depend on how long the wait lists will be on those electric cars. But in the meantime, we'll concentrate on this one. It is really an amazing car. We're really truly impressed by it. Until the EV6 GT and Ioniq 5N high performance EVs arrive on the scene, which will have even 100 horsepower more. So this one has 485 in the boost mode. Those other high-performing cousins will be up to 576, so an additional 100 horsepower, which will mean instead of the 3.7 seconds to 100, they will likely be doing just over 3 seconds, probably half a second difference, if that. It's going to be basically a fraction of a second difference if you want to do that. For now, this is the best deal in high-performance EVs. So that being said, let's take you for a spin. We're going to, mostly use the eco mode, but for the purpose of showing the boost mode, we'll try and demonstrate its strong acceleration, so we're going to keep it just briefly in the sport mode to demonstrate the top acceleration of the car. All right, so let's put us in drive. We're going to turn on the seat cooling. As we mentioned, it has the seat cooling, seat heating, and the seat massage. The seat massage is operated by a button on the left side of the seat. Same with 18-way adjustments, including the lateral support can be adjusted. So it's as much as you can. Again, the car is equipped with an amazing surround Bang & Olufsen sound. I don't know how many watts, but it's powerful. It sounds amazing. We cannot demonstrate it because of the copyright of the music. We would get all kinds of messages from Facebook and YouTube if we did demonstrate the music on this car. So let's switch it. So we have the drive info, the consumption, and everything else going here. We're gonna switch. Whoop. See, if you don't press the button and then you keep swiping, what it does is actually changes this screen here. And what it does, it just goes through the various options on the entertainment. But it only goes through pre-saved or favorite radio and satellite radio channels, as you can see it. So in order for you to control this right-hand side of the main dashboard, you have to press the button and then you change it. So tire pressure, drive info, forecast, entertainment. So we'll probably keep it on the drive information. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? You can probably see it through here. And on the main screen, we'll have either the map, or we're gonna change it to the autopilot display because we're gonna demonstrate how well the auto steer and adaptive cruise works on this car. Again, it's the same system as an EV6 and Ioniq 5, so it has its limitations, but we'll show you as we're driving. All right, we're drive mode. Let's take you again a typical function here. When you turn on your indicator, you can see the blind spot for the camera in the side mirror, which is kind of a neat thing. The same thing when you turn your right indicator, you can see here the rear camera on the right hand side, which helps you see the blind spots. You have other warnings of the blind spots. There is a light inside the mirror that warns you of traffic in your blind spot. And there's also, I believe, there is a vibration in your steering wheel, and there's an audible signal as well, a warning signal. So all the safety systems are here. All right, so let's put it here. That's the main screen. We'll keep it on the main screen. Actually, we can keep it on the EV screen as well as we're driving. We're in drive mode. Let's go for a test drive. So we're gonna start from the Georgian Bay towards our goal, which is the Milton fast chargers today. So here we're gonna take it easy. We're going through the village, so we're gonna take it easy in eco mode. As we get to the main street over there, we're gonna demonstrate the fast acceleration. So right now we're being in eco mode. You can select different sounds, and those sounds are probably different than EV6 and Ioniq 5. So you can hear the motor a little bit just because we selected the e-motor sounds right now through the system. And shortly we're gonna switch it to sport, which should change. It'll make those sounds louder in sport mode, especially in the boost mode. We're in comfort, you can see it here. And press it again, we're in sport mode, and you can see it here as well. So right now we're in the e-motor sounds. So this is supposed to imitate slightly amplified electric motor sounds. We're in the boosting mode, and we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Oh, the boost is gone. 10 seconds, too late. Let's try again. Boost mode, and we're ready. And you could hear the artificial sounds. And boost lasts about 10 seconds. You can see it's off. And every time you accelerate, even though it's dry outside, those 21-inch 255 wide tires, they spin. There's like just way too much power. They overwhelm the tires, and you could hear them squeak in the back. So it is quite an amazing acceleration. It's a very powerful car. Again, 485 horsepower, 3.7 seconds from 0 to 100. So it's quite amazing. And out of those other high-performing cars, again, the best deal. So if you can get your hands on a Genesis GV60, I would seriously consider it, especially if you can get it off the dealer lot without having to wait for it. So we're gonna put it back into Eco. There we go. We're gonna take it easy. Yeah, we're showing 32 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers because we're pushing it. But of course, as we keep driving, we're gonna be driving using side roads. As with every one of our hypermining exercises, we're gonna drive from Midland via Collingwood all the way to Milton using side roads below 100 kilometers per hour in order to limit the consumption of the car and stretch the miles. So we're gonna report to you on the consumption and on the EV range once we arrive at the Milton fast chargers, where we hopefully will also get to see its top charging speed, hopefully over 200 kilowatts, which this car is capable of. The question is whether it will be low enough on the state of charge to demonstrate that top DC charging speed. We're in nice one pedal driving, so it fully stops. If you don't like that mode, my son, who is behind the camera, hates the one pedal driving. He keeps it in regular, which you can change back using the right pedal, and then the car behaves like any normal automatic car, which means it'll creep forward, and then you still have to use your brake pedal to fully stop. So there's something for everyone. So as we drive through the village, you can activate the adaptive cruise. We most likely won't be able to do the auto steer, although it's quite capable, as long as there's clear lane markings, which here in the village there's really not that clear. So we'll turn on by using this. So we're in, let's set it, the speed, you set it through here, and you can see it here, you can see it in the head-up display. We're set the speed to 40 kilometers per hour. In order to turn the auto steer on, this is the button here, you touch it, and right now you can see that the steering wheel symbol is on at the head-up display. It's not green, meaning that the auto steer is not on. When the conditions are met for the auto steer, the wheel in the head-up display will turn green, and that means that the car is auto steering. Here, because there's no clear lane markings, the car will not auto steer, but the adaptive cruise will still work. Same with the auto steer. Even if you're not using adaptive cruise, the auto steer will still help you steer. That's why you have two separate buttons for the adaptive cruise and for the auto steer. So even if you're driving yourself without the cruise control or adaptive cruise control, the car will still help you steer, which is kind of neat. So you can use these two systems independently. In some of the other electric cars, including our Audi, the auto steer only works in conjunction with the adaptive cruise. So this is kind of neat. All right, so let's see so let's resume, and you can increase the speed with these buttons here. So we just set the speed to the speed limit. Here it's now 60. Okay, so we're setting it for 60. The auto steer is still not working because the middle lane marking is there, but the right side marking is not there. So it's not until we go to the main highway that hopefully it'll be able to turn the auto steer back on. It was reacting to the car in front of us. It was slowing down. And of course, in the eco mode, it'll slow down much faster and it'll take time to speed up to follow the traffic, where in the sport mode it'll follow much closer and it'll react to traffic much faster. So it all depends on the mode. You can also see here on the main dashboard that its auto steer is on, lane keeping is on. Now the steering wheel is green, so we should be able to get our hands off. Let's see, and even though there's no markings on the right, there are some markings. So let's see how well the car negotiates the turn and when it will prompt us to put our hands back on the wheel. So again, we're in auto steer mode and adaptive cruise. We're approaching a turn and we'll see how well, and it's quite a tight turn. Let's see how it negotiates. We're gonna be ready to take over. It's steering quite nicely. There you go. There we go. The markings are not very clear. So we're gonna take over. Yeah, so it negotiated quite well, though with the other two cars from the family, the EV6 and the Ioniq 5, a few times, the car did not negotiate the turns very well all by itself. So we had to pretty much take over. So with these systems, they are best used on the highways, 400 series highways, to stay in your lane. So it's best not to use them or rely on them in on smaller roads and in the cities, because they're not 100% reliable. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so we're en route from Midland to Milton via Collingwood, our typical hypermile route along the shores of Georgian Bay and then through the Halton Hills. We're just between Elmvale and Wasaga Beach. And we wanted to demonstrate the sounds. So you have the choice of futuristic, G-engine, and e-motor. So e-motor is just like augmented e-motor, natural sounds. Futuristic, you'll hear it, it's like Star Wars speeder, air speeder. And then G-engine is supposed to imitate a gas engine sounds. So we'll start with the futuristic. Now, in order to have the loudest, sound, first of all, you have to put it in largest change, moderate change, smallest change. So we have it in the largest change, but also you should ideally be in the sport mode, because that's when the sounds are the loudest. So we're coming up on the red light, so you'll be able to, the harder you accelerate, the more intense the sounds are. So we're starting with the futuristic. We're gonna put it back in the sport mode, which of course is gonna affect our consumption. By the way, our consumption, you can hear it now. Oh, and we're stopped at the red light. So when you decelerate, it does not really sound. It's very quiet. However, when you accelerate, in a couple of minutes, you will be able to hear it. And then we'll demonstrate the other two. So futuristic, it sounds to me exactly. It sounds a bit like the Star Wars airspeeder. Very futuristic, sci-fi sound. Again, then the G engine, when we switch it, it sounds like a gas engine. And then the e-motor is just like augmented sounds of natural sounds of an electric motor. Okay, so we're gonna put it back in, actually sport mode, yes, for the biggest sound. Advanced green, so stay tuned for the futuristic sounds. So that was the futuristic. Let's change it to G engine. Definitely sounds like a V6 engine. So when you decelerate, you can't hear it, but when you accelerate hard, you can definitely hear those fake engine sounds. Okay? Hopefully you can hear it well. It's kind of amusing. And now finally, to demonstrate for you the e-motor. Oh boy, high-pitched sound. So decelerate, very quiet, but on hard acceleration, hold on. Hopefully the sound comes through the mic quite well, because they are all very interesting. And then you can do custom sound as well, but these are basically your three choices, and they are quite interesting. So our preference is basically the e-motor, because that futuristic is a little too much. You can also, modulate the sound, and as we say, so right now we're in a sport mode. We're gonna switch back to eco, and you will see that the volume goes down. There you go. Not by much, but definitely much quieter in eco mode. Okay, so the sounds are much more aggressive in sport mode. So that's about it. We wanted to show you that. And the only other thing that we wanted to show you, besides the lane change assist, which only works on the highway, so we'll try and do it on the Highway 401 after we do the DC session in Milton, is to show you the panorama sunroof. So right now we have the blinds closed because it's a very hot sunny day. You can open it, and the panorama, the shades open the same way as in the Ioniq 5. It's the same principle. And let's close it. Highly shaded, heavily tinted fixed glass panorama roof with the blind. So on the hot summer day like today, the passengers are not suffering, and the driver is not suffering from the heat of the sun. It adds, additional protection from the heat. I think in luxury cars, that should be a must. A lot of the other luxury EVs that do not have the electric blind, they offer aftermarket or an accessory where you put that blind manually, which is kind of, we had that in the Tesla, and it was very useful, I can tell you, in the Model 3. Mind you, we heard that after we got rid of our Model 3, the tint, they did a much stronger tint, so it wasn't heating up as much, but we definitely had to buy the sunshades for the Model 3. Same thing in the Jaguar I-Pace, the Jaguar offers. I'm not sure if the Ford Mach-E offers the manual blind to install. Okay, so that's about it. So we'll report back when we arrive in Milton. Okay, welcome to Collingwood. We're about 1/3 of the way from Midland to Milton, DC, Electrify Canada. The consumption so far, and again, reminder that we've been using the climate because it's very hot outside and humid. It's like 31 without humidity, 41 with humidity. Here in Collingwood, it's a little cooler. It's 28, down to 28, but with humidity, I'm sure it's almost 40. So we have the climate on, modulating between 23 and 24, because 23 and 24 was a little too warm inside, so we have it down to 23 right now. Consumption over the last 64 kilometers is 18.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And again, with the climate on, without the climate, if we were able to drive without a climate, probably would have been about 2 kilowatt hours less. It would have been around 16. So we'll now, between here, Collingwood and Milton, there's a lot of hills. We'll be driving through the Halton Hills, so probably the consumption may go up, but we'll report back to you when we arrive. Now, what we want to show you now is struggle or no struggle to set the navigation, finding the fast chargers through the car navigation system. First, we'll try, and this is where we can mention that the verbal commands here, honestly, you have to learn the Hyundai Genesis Kia language, because it doesn't seem to understand the commands that we've been used to using in other electric cars. So we'll try and do it first through the verbal commands, and then we'll try and do it through touchscreen. Okay, so let's give it a try. Find fast charging in Halton Hills, Ontario.
Sorry, I didn't understand you. Please try your command again after the beep.
Find fast charging.
Please say the POI name or address you want to find.
fast charging in Milton, Ontario.
Sorry, I didn't understand you. Please try your command again after the beep.
Cancel. Okay, so as you can see, perhaps we don't speak Genesis. It's not very intuitive to try and ask the car to navigate to a fast charger in a given destination. We had the same issue with some of the other cars like Ford and BMW. There's ways around it. So let's try and use the navigation screen. Now, again, in this car, this is the destination is right here, right? Is that the button? Is there a menu for fast charging? There is no category. In a lot of the other electric cars, you have a category here, a button that says, like in our Audi e-tron, fast charging, and then you just punch in. So you punch in fast charging, and then you punch in the city, and it'll find it for you, assuming it's properly programmed in there. So what do we say? DC space fast charger. DC fast charger. It's Milton, or it's gonna be under Halton Hills. Okay, it's looking. Milton, Charger Consulting, ChargePoint BMW. No, see, it's complicated. It shouldn't be this complicated. It should be straightforward. It should be a fast charger button to find the fast charging. So it's not there. Obviously, we can just, what we can basically say, but this is not the way this is supposed to happen. We can just basically tell the navigation to navigate to the Toronto outlet mall, and it's gonna set the address for the mall. But then it will not precondition the battery. As you know, the battery, in order to enjoy the fastest speed, you have to precondition the battery. So in the summer, it has to be cooled down to the proper temperature. In the winter, it has to be heated up to the proper temperature. So it sounds like we will not be able to precondition battery for our fast charging sessions, but because it's like 28 degrees, this is actually an ideal battery temperature for to get the fastest speed. So we should be okay. So let's set it for Toronto Premium Outlets. Toronto Premium Outlets. There you go. So we couldn't find a way. Maybe there is a way. However, it's not very intuitive, and we couldn't find a way to set the navigation for the DC fast charger in Milton. So we're just gonna press on Toronto Premium Outlets. And there we go. 107 kilometers in straight line, set as destination. It's actually, so straight line 136 total. So
road guidance will start now. Continue on current road for about 21 kilometers.
Okay, thank you. We've done about 64. We have another 136. So we have all total, we'll be driving about 200 kilometers today in hypermiling mode. So once we get there, we'll report back on the consumption and of course the fast charging speed. We are now at 60%. We are at 233 kilometers range. We have 136 kilometers to go. So we should have about 100 kilometers left. So we're gonna be around 30% state of charge. So we should be able to demonstrate the top charging speed in this car. We found a way, guys, to set navigation for the fast charger, but it's ridiculously complicated. Cancel navigation.
Route canceled.
Okay, so here is how you find fast charging. You have to know where the fast charger is. So basically, when you go to destination, we previously searched for, now of course it shows up because we found it, but let us show you the only way we found it. We try using Electrify Canada, we try finding using words fast charging, DC charging, didn't work. So basically what we had to do is press let it find, not Newmarket Hyundai, Toronto Premium Outlets. Jesus, see that? This system still has a lot of bugs in it. So we know that the charge is located at Toronto Premium Outlets. So we found it. Then you click on the map, or you can use the zoom on the map. You can see it right here. the symbol for fast charging at the Toronto Premium Outlets in Milton, Halton Hills, whatever. So here it is. So let's try and press on it. Toronto Premium, no, that's not it. So you have to zoom in. You have to zoom in. Click on the fast charger. Electrify Canada. Why can't we use that as a verbal command or even written command? Doesn't work. So, oh, okay, it disappeared. Let's try again. This is just so stupid and annoying. Genesis and Hyundai and Kia, please improve on that. There has to be a fast charging button somewhere. Electrify Canada, press on info. And finally here you have it set as destination. Available 0, in use 0, out of order 0, unknown 1. So it doesn't work, but we finally found a way, very convoluted and complicated way.
Will start now. Continue on current road for about 21 kilometers.
Okay, thank you. So this is the only way. So we had a similar issues with the Ford and BMW. It shouldn't be this complicated to find and navigate to a fast charger. There should be a button for fast charger or easy verbal commands to find fast charging at your destination. So that's about it, and we'll be back when we arrive. All right, so here we are, a little summary of the Genesis GV60 performance. We're at Electrify Canada, and we started charging at 30%, so this is our fast charging test, and the car is amazing. So let's go to the machine and show you what's been happening. As mentioned, it's 31 today without the humidity, 41 with humidity. And this unit at Electrify Canada, unit 4, 350 kilowatt unit, we're now at 93%. We've gone from 30% to 93% in 23 minutes. It took us from 30 to 80, it took us 11 minutes. It was amazing. It was able to maintain the 230 kilowatt speed from 30% all the way to 50%. So this car is definitely fast charging champion. I'm sure it's as fast as its cousins EV6 and Ioniq 5, but this is quite amazing, very impressive. So we're gonna go from 30% to 100% in under half an hour, which is our limit. So right now, because we're at 95%, we're only at 32 kilowatts, but the fact that we hit the 230 kilowatts from 30 to all the way to 50%, it's very impressive. So all in all, let's just mention last few words on our review of this car. Amazing car. Get the performance model, forget the base 71,000 all-wheel drive 320 horses. You might as well then go for its cousins, cheaper cousins, which are 10 grand cheaper, so EV6 and Ioniq 5. Go for the performance version. You might as well, it's really worth the 8,000 extra. What are our only pet peeves are the fact that there's no wireless Android Auto and or Apple CarPlay. The wiper is not needed. What was our other pet peeve? I kind of forgot now. The other one, the GPS, setting the navigation, finding the, letting the navigation find fast chargers, very convoluted and complicated way. And what was the other one? Oh yes, the famous augmented reality. It's not in this car, or at least we could not find it. Both the EV6 and Ioniq 5 had the augmented reality navigation on the head-up display. Somehow this car doesn't, even though it's more expensive and it's the luxury version of the other three. Other than that, amazing car. Thank you, Genesis Canada, for letting us drive it. I had one of my best birthdays driving this car. We highly recommend it. If you have any questions about this car, please feel free to comment on our video. We'll be happy to respond to your questions. And as usual, do not forget to press the subscribe button to get informed about our next videos. We have a lot of exciting electric cars coming to our channel. Thank you for watching and see you next time.